Today we're going to be covering the Black Panther Enemy of the State, as it's rated one of the best Black Panther storylines. But since this is in the middle of the 90s storyline featuring Black Panther, I'm gonna need to give you a little context. First, Black Panther at this time has been exiled from Wakanda by the now current ruler, Achebe. This all happened while he was out of Wakanda to begin with, but since he is now stuck on US soil, certain elements are about to play against him. This is Comicstorian, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This is Black Panther, Enemy of the State, by Christopher Priest. It has been weeks since Wakanda was flooded by refugees from the war-torn nation of Gudaza. Then, a coup ripped through the Wakandan palace, and King T'Challa was deposed. He was exiled to America. There, he learned that the entire war in Gudaza, and the military action in Wakanda to put Achebe on the throne, was the workings of shadowy rogue intelligence units within the US government. Now, the Black Panther works to prove these facts and reclaim his nation and throne. The ice cream truck swerves down the road as the Russian mobsters open fire on Black Panther, but it slams into a lamp pole, throwing Black Panther clear. Other mobsters pull up, but Okoye leaps from above, opening fire with her mercy bullets on the thugs. As the Dora Milaje work, Black Panther grabs one of the mobsters and cuts his way into the truck. He slams the mobster into the wall, explaining that he knows they captured T'Challa's ex-wife. But I found you, and the people who own this truck know it. They're going to blow up this truck. But my Kimoyo card is jamming the incoming destruction signal. For now. But you have made me angry. And that is not a good thing, he says to the goon. No, I should say not, a voice calls to him from one of the monitors. Black Panther whirls at the sound of the new king of Wakanda. Tell me, you are not still angry with me over Miss Lin? What's a few bars of C4 between friends? The madman asks with a crazed smile. Black Panther stalks forward. I will return to my throne, usurper, and deal with you and your allies severely, he growls. Achebe smiles, holding up the hand puppet that he uses to talk at times, using it to remind T'Challa that Wakanda is only at peace as long as he never returns. But Achebe is knocked aside as the Queen steps forward. T'Challa's stepmother, Ramonda, steps in view of the monitor. She reminds her son that he can't let Achebe goad him into action, that he must be smart. Black Panther agrees and ends the transmission. He leaps out of the van, grabbing hold of the rope, and climbs back aboard his aircraft that hovers nearby. In the palace, Ramonda whirls on Achebe, knocking him to the ground once again, and she steps on his chest. Listen to me. I brought you along for the ride because you're a good frontman, but your sick obsession with T'Challa has cost us precious time. Thanks to you, he already has Capone's people. Within hours, he'll have Vincent. Once that happens, everything becomes bloody and loud, and I promise you, when the shooting starts, you will be the first to drop, she snarls at him. Finally, she turns away and strides out of the room. Achebe continues to smile though. He sits up, reminding his puppet Daki that Ramonda is probably just upset because she plotted against her stepson. He picks up Daki, who tells him that Ramonda is crazy and that Achebe is king of the universe. In the city, Lin was saved, but the CIA is still grilling her for answers. She finally sighs and demands to be released, telling them once again that she doesn't have any connection to Achebe, that she was kidnapped and forced into an exosuit and then forced to fire in a crowd of people. She sips her coffee, telling them that she knows someone is pulling their chain. Someone owns the agents in this room. A blonde man smiles as he steps forward, introducing himself as Danny Vincent. He tells her that there is nothing nefarious going on. No cloak, no dagger, no foul. We're done here, Miss Lin. Meanwhile, Black Panther has tracked the truck used in her kidnapping to Capone. a former member of Russian intelligence that now runs the whole Russian mafia on the East Coast. The Russian's phone rings and he angrily picks it up. "Who is this?" he demands. "You'd better duck," Black Panther tells him as he opens fire on the Russian's office. Mercy rounds flood the room, knocking his guards out and forcing Capone to take cover behind his desk. Over the phone, T'Challa reminds Capone that his master will kill him to keep him quiet about what happened in Wakanda. "Idiot! You are fighting a whirlwind! These things must happen every so often, just to keep everyone honest," Capone shouts over the phone. The Wakandan aircraft hovers in front of Capone's window. "Capone, when you say these things, you are talking about my people, my land. The people you are protecting are on their way to kill you. Make your choice," T'Challa tells him. Meanwhile, Lynn has been released, walking home in the rain. But a limo pulls up next to her. The window slides down to reveal the man named Hunter, also known as the White Wolf. He smiles at her, offering her a ride, promising that she will be protected. She glares at him. "I'll bet. I need 2 things. 1, take me to T'Challa and tell me exactly who Danny Vincent is," she says. Elsewhere, Jack Taylor pours himself another drink and looks out the window of his penthouse apartment. He was the CEO of Spectrum Dynamics Corp, but everyone knew he was a spy. His phone rings and Jack answers it. "Who is this?" Jack asks. "Just a man with a truck. Your truck, Jack. I wanted to return it," T'Challa tells him. Jack leaps away from the window as the truck crashes through it. The guards move in, grabbing Jack and trying to pull him clear. But the Black Panther and the Dora Milaje are there, opening fire on the guards. The guards are down and Black Panther grabs Jack, pulling him up onto the roof of the building. T'Challa explains that he knows that Jack has been working with the rogue intelligence units, that he has been selling weapons to aid in the coup against T'Challa and the Thrones. He hopes to gain the advanced Wakandan technology for his weapons, that the DEA agreed to loosen their hold on the Russians, and the Russians' money was given to Danny Vincent, who used it to fund the operation in Gudaza. Vincent, in return, was given G8 computer chips. Everything was a matter of national security. I would not have learned these things if you hadn't made a critical error, choosing Achebe as your figurehead in Wakanda. Achebe has an irrational hatred of me and cannot resist attacking me, which enabled me to find you with your pants down, Black Panther tells him. He drags him across the rooftops, bringing him to the bridge and holding him over the water far below. He tells Jack that hit squads are coming to kill him, that his master was trying to close the circle of knowledge on everything that has happened in Wakanda. "You have but one chance only," Black Panther growls as he leans close. Time passes, and T'Challa has rounded up the members of the Russian mob and one of the spies that worked against him, plotting to take control of Wakanda. But he isn't done. He sits in the shadows of a tree in Queens, staring at a small house. Danny Vincent gets into his car. He glanced over his shoulder to realize that Black Panther sits in the back seat. Danny sighs. "Guess I should be scared now. But if I hadn't worked for the Gudaze, Jack Taylor would have just subbed the job out to the Hand or Mossad. To serve my country, I do what I do. I shook a hand and I did a piece of business," he explains. But Vincent refuses to roll over on his employers. T'Challa shakes his head, explaining that the computer chips that Vincent was given, which were meant to help destabilize the Vulcan Dumoyo economy, were faulty, that they would fail within 5 years. He merely wants Vincent to write about the NSA's covert actions in the region before they come for him. Vincent looks at the chip. "I'll think about it," he finally says. And T'Challa nods. "I will contact you shortly. And one more thing," he says. He rushes forward sharply, punching Vincent across the face and slamming his head into the window. And he slips from the car. "That was for arming the Gudaze," T'Challa tells him as he disappears. At his apartment, Hunter stares out the window with Lynn sitting on a couch nearby. How much longer before I get what we agreed on last night? She asks. Hunter looks over his shoulder, telling her that T'Challa is a busy man. Lynn sighs and lays on the couch, telling him that she is getting sick of being kidnapped because she loved T'Challa. She asks if there is anything she should know about Hunter and his connection with T'Challa. Yes, I welcome the war. I welcome the end of lies and hypocrisy. God knows I've waited long enough for it, he tells her. The next day, young Agent Ross is brought in. King T'Challa has gone before the UN with his evidence, telling them that with the men that he has given political asylum to, he has substantial evidence that factions within the US intelligence community have acted in a coup within Wakanda. This constitutes an act of war, T'Challa tells those that were gathered before him. Ross was brought before the president, who was not happy with the king's words. He grabs the young agent, telling him that he is to get T'Challa to retract his statement, or that he'll be shipped to Iceland. Ross isn't happy about it, but he is given 24 hours to get it done. He is flown from Washington to New York, where his field boss, a woman that has had a relationship with T'Challa in the past, reminds him that he has 24 hours. After his press conference, T'Challa leaves the UN surrounded by his guards as the press asks him questions about his statements. They walk back to their car, where the guard waits with a shotgun. "So, your whiskersness, how'd it go in there?" he asks as he folds his paper. "It went as expected, Sergeant York. Thank you for guarding our vehicle," T'Challa says as he steps inside. York waves it off, telling T'Challa that a bunch of white guys are waiting for them. He points out in front of the car, where a group of white wolves are standing. "I can help with 2, maybe 3 of them," York tells T'Challa. In Wakanda, Ramonda watches T'Challa's speech to the UN. "No stopping it now," she whispers. She closes her eyes, memories of her life playing in her mind. She is tired, which is why she isn't aware when Achebe and Daki slip into the room. The madman's whispering to his puppet, but Ramonda doesn't look up. "Not in the mood, Achebe. Though we jointly govern Wakanda, I'm the only one doing any real work," she says. Daki reaches out and picks up a large trophy, raising it up and slamming it down on Ramonda's head, knocking her out. Achebe begins to look through the desk for the access codes he seeks. "You know, you hit her too hard," Daki tells him, and the two begin to argue over who actually hit the queen. T'Challa is brought before the White Wolf, with Hunter meeting him in a nearby alley. "Oh, how the mighty have fallen," he jokes. But T'Challa isn't joking, demanding to know what Hunter wants. "We both know you need me now," he says. Behind him, Lynn steps out, surprising T'Challa. The king looks back to Hunter. "My king, command me in all things," the White Wolf says. But the alley is suddenly filled with gunfire from above. Attack choppers hover overhead as York begins open fire with his shotgun. T'Challa pushes Lynn towards the limo, ordering the Dora Milaje to keep her safe. He rushes after Hunter, taking cover. "My king, this is only the beginning. Command me," he says again. Within moments, the Black Panther and the White Wolf lead a pack of hunters as they climb to the rooftops of the city. Agent Ross is running down the street, drawn by the sound of gunfire. The limo pulls up and he demands to know what he missed. "Shut up, you little weasel, and get in," York shouts, pulling the agent into the car. They screech away as the van rounds the corner, and the hitmen open fire on them, and Okoye tosses an Uzi to Ross in the back seat. In Wakanda, Achebe and Daki have brought Ramonda to the command center, though the queen still doesn't respond when they try to wake her. "Oh well, we have the codes now," Daki exclaims, and the duo smile as they activate their new toys. The people of Wakanda run in fear as the ground begins to tremble, and giant robotic panthers rise up from the earth. Meant to defend the people of Wakanda, they begin to attack. Laser blasts destroy buildings and knock the citizens of Wakanda aside, with Achebe and Daki laughing from the command center at the destruction that unfolds. In New York, the limo screeches around a corner, with Ross and York firing their weapons at the pursuing assassins. Ross moves to reload his Uzi as a truck pulls up with two goons with rocket launchers on the back. "That Uzi won't help much with those rockets," York shouts as he reloads his shotgun. But the limo screeches to the side, with Okoye leaning out and firing her pistol, wounding both goons and making them misfire the rocket launcher. She hits the gas again, with the limo barreling out of the tunnel. They drive to the docks, not even slowing, as they go sailing off the side and splash into the water. Meanwhile, Black Panther and the White Wolf are still fighting on the rooftops, the hunters around them firing at the helicopters. "No need to run, my king. The Hatu Zirase can easily dispatch our pursuers," White Wolf tells Black Panther. But T'Challa shakes his head, ordering the hunters not to kill anyone. "You have sworn an oath to me," T'Challa reminds the White Wolf. Hunter nods, telling T'Challa that he will follow his orders. That he has waited to return to Wakanda since T'Challa dissolved the Hatu Zirase for his objections to their methods. Objections which still remain, T'Challa reminds him. They end the conversation with the pair leaping off into the water of the Hudson below. The choppers hover nearby, but have to pull away when a large Wakandan aircraft, which has been hiding beneath the water, broke the surface. Inside, the Dora Milaje are piloting as the craft climbs quickly into the air. T'Challa and Hunter dry themselves off in the airlock. "You should destroy those choppers, Lord King. Make an example of them. Teach your enemies the error of underestimating Wakanda's liege," the White Wolf says. T'Challa nods, and the Hatu Zirase are suddenly hit with a sonic blast that knocks them all out. The Black Panther turns away from them and heads for the bridge. "My thoughts exactly," he whispers to himself. The Wakandan craft is moving fast, speeding towards the war-torn Wakanda. Lin pulls T'Challa aside, angry that she is still being brought into his life. He apologizes to her, but reminds her that she knew what his life was like when she originally wanted to marry him. "You know what I am. You are on a path of your own choosing," he tells her. As the craft enters Wakandan airspace, the group breaks off, pairing up to pilot Wakandan Talon fighters. They break free of the craft, speeding towards the burning city in the distance. Looks like the fun police have finally arrived," Achebe jokes to Daki as they watch the approaching fighters through the binoculars. Lin has been paired with Nakia, and she isn't happy as they speed around the robot panthers that are attacking the city. "Look, kid, turn this bucket around. I didn't sign up for this," Lin snaps at the young guard. "He loves me," Nakia snaps at her. Lin is surprised, but she realizes that the young guard is in love with the king. She tells her that T'Challa merely sees her as a child, that he will never love her. Nakia glares at her in anger before hitting the eject button and sending the woman plummeting away. Meanwhile, T'Challa and Ross's craft has been shot down. Ross lands on the ground in his parachute while Black Panther drops down next to him. "Say, Your Highness, I was thinking, when you get a minute, we could talk about that UN speech you gave? Maybe issue a tiny clarification?" Ross says as he tries to free himself from the parachute. Black Panther ignores him and cuts his way free, but he doesn't respond to Ross's question as he leads the young agent to a secret entrance to the palace. They make their way through the palace, fighting against the Gudaze tribesmen and freeing the rest of the Wakandan warriors. Continuing forward, T'Challa is shocked when Nakia catches up with them. He demands to know where Lin is, reminding Nakia that he ordered her to protect his former love. "The woman is dead. I failed you, my lord. Your great love is dead, felled by Gudaze bullets," she says. Black Panther stares at her for a moment. "You, girl, are lying. For what reason, I do not know. But rest assured, your king will have an answer. After which shall come the reckoning," he tells her before turning and running off. Ross follows after him, and they both finally enter the door to the command center. Black Panther and Ross stop short. Their eyes widen as they see Achebe and Daki standing before them. dressed as kings, holding the detonator to the huge pile of explosives that fill the room. Outside, the windows shatter as Black Panther leaps through it. "The war has ended," he bellows to all those fighting below him. "The evil Achebe has been vanquished. You, my faithful soldiers, have routed the Gudaze who follow him. All forces are to rendezvous at staging area 12. We must leave for the Great Mound. We've received an alert that Claw has returned," he shouts. But Captain America drops from the sky, informing Black Panther that he has already defeated Claw. Black Panther congratulates him, thanking him for his help and offering him a refreshment of biscuits. But Captain America suddenly whirls and punches him in the face. "Hey, have you lost it?" Sergeant York says as he rushes over. But Cap shakes his head. "I've known Panther for years, and you are not him," he says to the fallen Black Panther. The Panther reaches for something, and both men are shocked to see a hand puppet. "Who I am is not important, Avenger. Release me, or your king dies," he shouts. York shrugs and fires, destroying the puppet. Cap looks at him in surprise. "What? Oh, I wasn't supposed to shoot the hand puppet?" York asks. But Achebe just laughs, pulling out a second Daki puppet. He tells them that the king will be killed if the heroes waste time on detaining him. Cap and York have no choice but to leave Achebe as they rush back into the castle. Inside, they find T'Challa and Ross have been captured and placed in a giant crane machine game. The plastic balls within have been filled with time explosives that are already counting down. The bottom of the game is also filled with acid, while the Claw is covered in barbed wire and electrified, which everyone agrees is a bit of overkill. Cap and York arrive, with T'Challa telling them that he had no choice but to surrender to Achebe. T'Challa orders Cap to go and help evacuate the palace, that he and Ross will be fine. The young agent is terrified, but T'Challa knows how to free them. He dips Ross into the acid to burn away their ropes, only explaining to Ross afterwards that the Wakandan armor he is wearing is acid-proof. Afterwards, he opens one of the plastic balls, pulling out the explosives and getting inside, telling Ross that they need to get in and try to angle their way towards the prize chute in the game. As they float through the acid, Ross once again tries to get T'Challa to agree to amend his statement to the UN, but once again, the king ignores him. The ball they are in finally pops out of the claw game, bouncing away, and they quickly free themselves, with Ross dismayed as he watches other bombs bouncing away as well. T'Challa suddenly grabs him, throwing him in the way of a burst of gunfire. "I hate this job," Ross gasps as Black Panther pushes him aside. "Your vibranium battlesuit saps the inertia from the bullets, Ross. Get to safety. He is only after me," T'Challa shouts. Ross turns, shocked to see the White Wolf fire another burst at the king. "It's time for a reckoning between brothers," the White Wolf shouts as he fires. Ross rushes outside, finding the others fighting against the Hatu Zirase. He tries to warn them of the bombs, but an explosion rips through the palace behind them, proving his point. Inside, White Wolf stalks through the smoke and flames. "Achebe's explosives, my lord, all set to different timers. We may have minutes or perhaps seconds." "How ironically appropriate," he calls. "She's dead, you know. Ramonda, the woman you allegedly loved. And my guess, whatever bond we had left died with her, T'Challa. And now, we both may join her in the pavilion of the Panther God," he shouts. He looks up as T'Challa descends upon him, dressed once more as the Black Panther. "So be it," he snaps, and the two lock in combat, with Black Panther whirling and grabbing a hold of White Wolf's gun. As they trade blows, Black Panther tells Hunter that he knew he would betray him, that he knows that Hunter's loyalty has always come at a cost. A bomb detonates nearby, with the pair being thrown clear, and White Wolf fires again. "I am a loyalist. It is you who betrayed Wakanda," he shouts. Another bomb tears through the room. "I am the king, and I rule as I rule," Black Panther shouts as they both fall to the floor. Outside, Ross has no choice. He turns, rushing back into the exploding palace, refusing to let Black Panther die. Inside, the two continue to fight, with Black Panther slamming White Wolf against the wall, demanding to know if this is the act of a loyalist. "I am loyal to the throne, T'Challa. This is a dispute between brothers," he snaps. He reaches for a knife, demanding that T'Challa command him as his king. "And I will obey you. Command me!" he shouts. He twists in Black Panther's grasp, pushing him against the wall and burying the knife into his chest. "You stubborn fool! Don't make me kill you just to spite me! I am from Wakanda. Be my king!" he shouts. But T'Challa shakes his head. "I shall never be king of your Wakanda," he growls. "Have it your way then," White Wolf shouts at him as he goes in for the final blow. But Ross is there pulling him away. White Wolf knocks him aside. "That's it, you die," he says, moving towards Ross. But he suddenly falls to the floor, out cold. Black Panther steps forward, helping Ross up and informing him that he had hit White Wolf with several pressure points during their fight, that eventually he would fall asleep. Another explosion rips through the palace, and they both turn to see that Hunter has disappeared. Black Panther leads Ross through the palace to a secret exit that allows them to escape from the destruction. Outside, the other heroes stare at the destruction, saddened by the loss of T'Challa. "We all did what he asked of us. Now, all we can do is," Captain America begins to say. But the rubble shifts and a hovercraft appears. "Attend the celebration feast, Captain. I regret any concern I may have caused you," T'Challa says over the radio. Later, T'Challa awakens Ramonda, informing her that he feared for her safety, so he activated the suspension cell in her bloodstream sooner than they had planned. She thanks him, letting the other heroes know that she had been working for T'Challa as a double agent the whole time, feeding him information on Achebe's activities. Much later, Agent Ross finishes telling the gathering penguins his story, and how he had come to be stationed in Iceland due to his failure in getting T'Challa to recant his statement. But he looks up as a Wakandan aircraft approaches. The Dora Milaje lean out, shouting for him that King T'Challa has requested that he be his liaison to the US State Department. Ross smiles and rushes towards them. Once aboard, the aircraft launches away to Wakanda once more. And that is the conclusion to Black Panther, Enemy of the State by Christopher Priest. I hope you guys enjoyed this story, and if you did, please be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon to make sure that you get notifications when new videos go live, and if you're feeling especially generous, join the YouTube Premium membership or go to our Patreon at patreon.com/Comicstorian to support us even more. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time right here at Comicstorian.